Hello everyone. So for my previous videos, I've been receiving comments about how to integrate both prelims and mains preparation. So I thought I'll make a video clarifying to you all how you can do that. As long as your reading is only from Lakshmikant, as long as you keep on reading NCRTs, Gochan Leong, you will definitely not feel how to integrate prelims and mains. You will never get that picture at all. That is where newspaper comes into play. Let's say you read today's newspaper, today's Hindu newspaper dated the 3rd of July 2026. When you go through the front page, there is a nice article. It talks about Supreme Court quashing the order of NCLT. And what was the reason for that? The NCLT had used AI heavily. The order of the National Company Law Tribunal has certain fictitious case laws which were not even existent. Can you believe AI had done that? Right? AI created judicial case laws which do not even exist, and that was not even monitored by the members of the tribunal, and that was passed as an order. And this was now challenged in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court quashes it. And Supreme Court points out to the problems of using AI in governance, especially in judiciary. So this is all about the news. So when I look at this news, my mind starts branching out. I start wondering, what more should I do? What more should I do to ensure both prelims and mains preparation gets covered when I read this one news itself? This is my first thought, right? And I'm sure any serious aspirant will know, as soon as you see this news, take your Lakshmikant, read article 323A, 323B. You get an idea about tribunals. But that's not everything about tribunals. The questions in mains are asked about the issues in the tribunal architecture in India. The questions in mains are asked about how case laws in Supreme Court have shaped the evolution of tribunals in India. So content for this may not be there in Lakshmikant. That's where I have to go do further browsing on this. So where would I do that? There are great books for that. I can go into all those legal textbooks, but that's not what a general studies aspirant would possibly do. Instead, what you have is a PRS document, parliamentary research. They have a nice article, a nice PDF, which talks about this entire issue, very much summarized in a very concise manner, just for 8 or 10 pages. It takes you half an hour to 40 minutes to read that and become really good in understanding how tribunal architecture has evolved in India. This is what I call as a mains preparation. Simply knowing article 323A, what does it talk about? 323B, what does it talk about? It's prelims preparation. But when you can add on to this content building for the tribunal evolution, you're actually taking care of your mains preparation as well. Only thing that you need to know is the source. This PRS is where the right content, the easy content actually lies. Right? If you can only be aware of that, your mains preparation is actually well taken care of. Similarly, when I read this article, when I continue reading this article, I'm able to understand that Supreme Court has already given advisory. It has already come up with a draft advisory on how AI should be deployed, how AI should be utilized in judiciary. Now I'm more curious about that. So what do I do now? Just open PIB. I open PIB, go through the relevant articles published in PIB about how AI is used in Indian judiciary. I get to know the different processes in Indian judiciary where all AI is actually today used, right? And that is taking care of my mains preparation for GS paper 2. In GS paper 2, there is a topic on e-governance and its application in civil services and judiciary. So by reading that article from PIB, my work for this content in GS paper 2 is actually completed. So how much time did it take for me to go through all of these information? Maybe 30 to 40 minutes. But don't you think one topic in the GS main syllabus sheet can simply be ticked off, right? I do not really have to even go back and search for where is the study material for all of this. I am in this process making my own study material. And this is the best main study material you can actually find in India. The material that you make for yourself, right? Because you know the underpinnings, you know the undercurrents, you know the context in which you have made the notes. Whereas some coaching academy material that's given as a PDF to you for 200 pages in the gap between your prelims and mains as a study material, you will not even know in what context has it all been extracted. This is the difference between those aspirants who have a deep idea about the content that they have prepared and those whose content is simply shallow. And with shallow content, the questions that are asked in mains for the first time in 2027 mains, you will not be able to handle it. Whereas somebody who has prepared a deep content, they will be able to handle very well a question that is asked for the first time, which does not have any precedent in the past, right? So this is how I would be doing my prelims and my mains preparation integrated together. So for prelims perspective, I'll be looking at what is Article 323A, 323B, what all does it talk about, which all legislatures have the power to make what tribunals, right? This is prelims preparation. But going into PRS website, PIB website and completely reading them, making notes, taking my GS paper 2 notebook and filling in some content from my own understanding of all of this. I make my own content. That's the content for one of the topic in the syllabus sheet, which is tribunals and regulatory bodies. I'm done with this for today. So for 40 minutes that I spent, I benefit in both prelims and mains preparation. I'll give you one more example. In today's science page as well, there is a wonderful article on how microgravity experiments are conducted, and that helps us understand cancer better. I don't think UPSC is going to directly ask a question on cancer in your examination. But UPSC can actually ask questions on microgravity experiments. And India in the recent past, in the last 5 to 6 years, we are heavily focusing on a lot of experiments which are conducted on board in space. Why? In space you have microgravity conditions. So there experiments are conducted. What kind of experiments? We are trying to grow crops, right? Because India has an ambitious plan to go for deep space mission. We want to launch a mission to Mars. We want to travel even beyond Mars. And how do you achieve all of that? How do you have a manned mission to Mars without supplying food? That's why you need to have ways of cultivating food in space. That's why we have some experiments going on, right? So how do I get to know about all of that? I just take cues. I take cues from today's newspaper. I understand that, oh, there is a topic called as microgravity research. Now I search about it on Google. And the best source to search, which is more relevant for UPSC, is simply searching it in PIB website. And when I do this PIB search, I come across all these articles, right? So my duty now as an aspirant is to go through these articles, find out with my experience and understanding about how UPSC has been asking questions in the previous year, and based on that, make relevant content out of that, have a separate notebook, GS3 notebook, take content out of that, keep it over there, right? Keep it in the sense, do not copy paste, do not do a clerical work of just looking at the content and mindlessly copying it. No, read it, understand it, digest it in your own way, and in your own manner that you have understood, try to reproduce a written content. And this content is again going to help you in GS3 in your main syllabus sheet, right? So this is the way I would integrate both prelims and mains preparation. And where does it actually start from? It starts from Hindu newspaper, not from your static textbooks. That's why reading newspaper becomes very, very important. Thank you.